The entire world is watching as tensions escalate in Israel, and the media broadcasts these events in real time. We hear praise for the Iron Dome, Israel's missile defense system, yet when it is breached, critics are quick to point out its vulnerabilities. But beyond the technology, what's happening on the ground in Israel and the broader Middle East is about far more than defense systems. It's a deep, complex crisis that affects the whole world. Leaders from across the globe, kings, prime ministers, and presidents, are gathered in urgent discussions about the conflict in Israel. The ripple effects of this war are touching everything, from global trade to shipping routes, which are now critically disrupted. And while the world longs for peace, we are left to ask, will that peace come? The United Nations was founded with a noble goal: world peace. Yet it has consistently fallen short of this mandate. One example of its failure is UNIFIL, the United Nations interim force in Lebanon. It was supposed to prevent conflict along the Israel-Lebanon border, specifically the Blue Line, but recent events show just how ineffective it has been. Hezbollah has breached the Blue Line, both by land and air, rendering the efforts of the 10,000 UNIFIL soldiers largely wasted, as reported by the Jerusalem Post. Instead of maintaining peace, these soldiers have stood by, ineffective in preventing the escalation of violence. While the international stage wrestles with these issues, millions of Christians around the world are praying for Jerusalem and for God's protection over Israel. Those who do not understand world history might think the events in Israel are random, but that's far from the truth. Israel's story is tied to ancient empires, the Assyrian, Babylonian, Medo-Persian, Greek, and Roman empires, and even the Ottoman and British empires. The story of Israel is deeply spiritual and rooted in God's eternal plans. For Christians, our love for Israel is not based on the idea that Israel is always right, but on the righteousness of the God of Israel. God has punished Israel for their disobedience before, especially when they mistreated the poor and ignored the laws of the land, including the observance of the sabbatical year, Shemitah, and the Jubilee year. These laws, found in the Torah, show how God administers His justice and righteousness across the earth. Christians pray for Israel because God has called us to do so. As the prophet Isaiah wrote, "I have set watchmen on your walls, O Jerusalem. They shall never hold their peace day or night. You who make mention of the Lord, do not keep silent, and give Him no rest till He establishes and till He makes Jerusalem a praise in the earth." Isaiah 62:6-7. Isaiah also speaks of Israel's Messiah in one of the most powerful passages of the Bible. "He was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement for our peace was upon Him, and by His stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way. And the Lord has laid on Him the iniquity of us all." Isaiah 53:5-9. Who can destroy Israel? Israel has existed in one form or another for over 2,000 years. God's promise to Abraham, found in Genesis 18, is not forgotten. God appeared to Abraham, promising him a son, Isaac, through Sarah. The three figures Abraham saw were a manifestation of God in human form. And the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing, since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him?" Genesis 18:17-18. Just as Abraham saw the Lord, the Jews also saw Jesus in the flesh. Israel must stand firm because the whole world is blessed through its existence. God has not abandoned the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Though Israel was scattered after AD 70, it was re-established as a nation in 1948, fulfilling God's promises. Who can stand against the will of the Father in heaven? In a world that lives in the illusion of scientific progress and dreams of colonizing Mars, we must remember that all knowledge and advancements come from God. Everything, whether in the heavens or on the earth, was created by Him and for Him. The Jewish apostle Paul, writing about Jesus Christ, said, "He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For by Him all things were created that are in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created through Him and for Him. And He is before all things, and in Him all things consist. And He is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he may have preeminence. Colossians 1 and 1:15-18. The Jewish apostle John wrote very clearly about who Jesus is. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. John 1:1-5. As the Apostle Paul emphasized, Jesus, the Word, existed before all creation and came into the world in the flesh. He is the visible expression of God, through whom all things were made. This is the God who appeared to Abraham, just as he will return to Israel again. 2 angels went to Sodom and Gomorrah, while the third, God in the flesh, returned to heaven. No one can destroy Israel because God's plan for Israel is tied to the redemption of all humanity. The rise of the Antichrist and the false peace that comes with agreements like the Abraham Accords are part of this unfolding prophecy. Let us keep our eyes open to the bigger plan of God.